Welcome to the Keystone Education Report, where Pennsylvania's education leaders come together to tackle the issues shaping our schools. In this episode, we're diving into back-to-school safety with exclusive interviews featuring a local chief of police, a state representative, and a senator. Then we'll hear from a panel of experts, including a school psychologist, a director of safety and security, and a superintendent, all sharing insights to help keep our students safe, supported, and ready to learn. First, we're joined by Senator Patty Kim and Representative John Schlegel. Senator Kim currently serves as the Pennsylvania State Senator representing the 15th District, which encompasses Lower Dauphin County. And Representative Schlegel was elected to serve the citizens of Lebanon County's 101st Legislative District in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. Thank you both for being here today.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let's jump right into it. School safety. Is this that rare area where politics really can be transcended by bipartisanship approach? Is school safety that one thing we can all agree on that it's necessary?
I think so. I mean, whether you're a grandmother or a parent yourself, this is incredibly important for our district. The Senate passed pretty much bipartisan, unanimously almost, Senate Bill 246, which would require school districts to notify parents and school employees that there was an incident that included a weapon. All right, so that passed quickly. I added my part to it and I amended it to make sure that school officials and parents would also know about bullying incidents. And I think we can talk further about what goes on and why we need safe schools. But again, bipartisan, and it went quickly.
Representative?
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. I think there is no higher priority than safety on behalf of our students. And what comfort does that give our community, our parents, even our grandparents, of which my wife and I, we have grandchildren in our schools. I think safety is so important, and it's vital to the education of our students. They need to feel safe, they need to feel secure, and I think anything that we can do, whether it has to do with bullying, whether it has to do with clear communications, making sure that our parents know that safety is our highest priority and that we're open to listening and engaging in good, solid, two-way communication so that they feel that their interests are being heard, and most importantly, that our children are being taken care of.
What can you say to parents? What advice can you share that we're really doing everything possible and that there are things that have been done at the state beyond the legislation that's moving through, but the work of PCCD and others to really make sure that our schools are as safe as they possibly can be?
I had the pleasure of visiting all 5 school districts that encompass Senate District 15, and as I go in and out, these schools are much different from the school that I went to. I went to a public school, I don't want to tell you how many decades ago, but the security up front, the one door that you have to come in, the showing the ID. I was surprised that each classroom is locked. You cannot enter without a key. That's new to me. I know that they do drills. I know that the administrators, this is forefront, that they want to protect their students, and they've put in a lot of things, some with the school's help, the state's help, some without, but they're making it a priority. And I feel that the schools are much, much safer today.
And you're a former principal, so you can speak to it kind of from 2 perspectives.
I absolutely am, and it's been an honor and a privilege to not only work but now represent the 2 school districts in the 101st Lebanon City School District and the Cornwall Lebanon School District. And I think that there are just so many procedures that we do have in place. And I think by now, at the start of school, parents know what those procedures are. Most of our schools, I think that they have trained resource officers who, in many cases, once they receive that training, are able to carry a firearm. And that piece is so very important, because if there is an area of concern or should there be a need to address an incident, I think research has shown us that a quick response is very essential. Fortunately, our schools are very close in proximity to our local law enforcement agencies, and not every school has that privilege and opportunity, but that is true in the 101st. So I think that's very important. But neither Senator Kim nor myself are going to go into a school today or tomorrow or any other time without, whether the school staff know us or not, they're going to ask us who we are. We're going to have to identify ourselves and our intent for being in the building. We're going to have to show ID. We're going to have a visible school ID at all times. We also provide for the student support needs, whether it be for bullying, for anxiety, for any other type of issues. As a trained school counselor, my wife and I, both have been trained to try to address the needs of our students from a myriad of perspectives, and then also connect with outside agencies that can best support our students. Again, ultimately, we want that in place so students are not only safe, but it also contributes to them being able to learn.
Senator, you mentioned Senate Bill 246, and bullying was one of the pieces that you added in. Talk to me a little bit about what drew your attention to that. What made you realize that needed to be added to the bill?
Having teenagers myself, I had one student who would one child who would tell me her whole day from beginning to end, and I'd have another child who would tell me nothing. And for parents, it is hard to know what is going on in schools if they don't want to talk to you. And so having communication with the school district is really important. Something has happened, I need to know, and I want to address it, whether it be my kid's fault or he hurt someone or she hurt someone, I want to address it. More information is going to be helpful. But I think the one bill that I think was badly needed is the red flag bill, honestly. The extreme risk protection order. That if there is a student that shows signs of mental distress who may harm themselves or harm somebody else, if there's a gun in the house, they need to take that away temporarily by a judge's order for some time until the student gets better. I really think that from the shootings that we've seen, these students are distressed, and it's too easy to get these guns, and we need to protect the students and keep students safe. I feel very strongly about that.
I want to ask you both before we run out of time, funding. So, the state over the last several years, both sides, Senate, House, the governor's office have talked about funding. There's been more money put into school safety. Is it enough? Should more be done? Can we do more as we look ahead over the next several years?
I certainly think that is an ongoing conversation. That's part of the review. One of the things that we do in school in so many capacities is we monitor and adjust. And if indeed, as I said, I believe school safety to be our highest priority, I think that's an ongoing quest to make sure that we are evaluating our procedures and our practices, our connection with law enforcement, the resources that we have, human and otherwise, to make sure that we have things in place that our students are going to feel safe and secure. I mean, after all, last year, the state contributed $18 billion to public education. To 1.7 million students. We provided over $100 million to promote school safety in our schools. And again, I think it's so important that we continue to be in tune to best practices, to personalize with our students, with our parents, with our community, what we're doing, not necessarily in a very specific basis, but certainly in an ongoing basis, and make sure that, to me, the litmus test is that our students and our parents feel that our schools are safe and sound, and that we do address any and all concerns that may arise.
Senator, the last word's yours.
Yeah, this is an evolving problem that we have, and if we just keep in contact with PSBA, from the law enforcement, from parents, I think we can find a way that the students feel safe. It's up to the students. We want to make sure they feel safe. They're going to be the judges. If they feel like they can run to school and enjoy themselves, then we're winning. And as adults, that is our responsibility. But this is an evolving process, so constant communication, not just throw money at a problem and see if it works. Let's strategically put it in place where the kids will feel safer and they can thrive.
Senator, Representative, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Excellence isn't just a goal, it's a standard. The Great PA Schools GPS designation honors Pennsylvania public schools that go above and beyond, where rigorous academics, strong community ties, financial responsibility, and resilience come together. Today, we're highlighting one of our GPS ribbon recipients, Richland School District.
The Richland School District in Cambria County, Johnstown, Pennsylvania, serves approximately 1,600 students and is committed to empowering every student to pursue excellence every day. The district emphasizes student success across the 3 A's in the academics, the arts, and the athletics, and consistently achieves a strong graduation rate of 95 to 98%, surpassing the state and national averages. This commitment is grounded in the belief that a student is never an interruption of our work. He or she is the purpose of our work. That customer service philosophy, along with a commitment from our board, faculty, parents, staff, Community, and most importantly our students, has been nationally recognized as the district became the first school district in Pennsylvania to earn back-to-back Blue Ribbon honors, with Richland Elementary recognized in 2024 and Richland High School being recognized in 2025.
We're looking for the next great Pennsylvania school district. Visit greatpaschools.com to share your success story or apply for the GPS ribbon. You're watching the Keystone Education Report.
We're pleased to welcome Christopher Robinstein. He's the Chief of Police for Silver Spring Township Police Department in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Chief, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
We're talking school safety. And I know you obviously work with multiple districts in Silver Spring Township, but a lot of what I think we're going to talk about applies across the state to all schools. What are some of the common safety concerns that you're seeing at schools with the start of the school year?
I think a lot of people will focus on the more tragic incidents that they see because it makes news more, but our main focus is definitely more towards the individual level of bullying. Social media is a huge factor, and trying to get all parties to understand the best way to handle those things. Kids will be kids, but we need to help them not let things get out of hand.
I would imagine it requires an awful lot of collaboration with each of the districts within your area. How does that work? How do you collaborate with your local school districts?
Communication, because everybody has a different set of rules. Yes, the main goal is always the same: safety, treating everybody fairly, but everybody does things slightly different. We're fortunate that our largest school district is an extremely large school district in Cumberland Valley, so we're able to work with them and make sure that we start on the same page.
I would think another major part of working to ensure that our schools are safe, our students are safe, is the parents, obviously. What advice do you have as a parent for parents that are sending their kids off at the start of the school year to help ensure that their students are safe, that schools are safe?
I think personally the most important thing is have open, honest discussions with your children. Age appropriate, you know your kids, you know what they can handle, and I would say that even though you know your child the best, they can handle more than what you think they can, and they're already hearing things and seeing things, so be honest with them. Tell them, be careful, we love you, we want to take care of you, here's the best way to go about doing that. You know, and reminding them of the things that we as adults think is common sense. I think the biggest thing is for parents, no matter what style of parenting you do, is to remind your child, we're here, we're always available to talk. This is safe. Tell us what's bothering you. So many kids are like, I couldn't tell mom or dad this. And mom or dad are like, oh my gosh, they could have told me that instantly.
Right.
You know, and remind them, let them know.
Keeping the lines of communication open.
Has to be,
Okay.
you know, so.
I think about social media, and obviously it's different with the impact it has on kids today versus, 5 years ago, 10
Yeah.
years ago. How does your department deal with some of the bullying? Let's just take bullying because you mentioned that up front. How do you deal with it, and what advice do you have for people to understand this newer emerging challenge?
I think, yes, the changes, and it's ever evolving. That's the most difficult part. As a parent of two children in their 20s, it's so much different nowadays because it's nonstop. And I know one of the big pushes this year is are phones allowed in schools, and that's its own debate for sure. But boy, they are checking those phones nonstop, and they're seeing if they're the victim of bullying, they are getting assaulted cyberly every few minutes, and it can be so many different people. So, our big goal is making sure we stay up as a police department, stay up on the trends, stay up on the scientific end of it, of how can we see who's doing it to prove it. But again, trying to get your child, if you're a parent, to understand, don't keep this, don't hide it. Don't be ashamed by it. Maybe you did do something that you're embarrassed by, and that's now being held against you. But let mom and dad know. Let us know because we can help you get through
Comes
this.
back to that communication. One of the things as you were talking that I was thinking about is it's got to be so difficult if those lines of communication aren't open and the that child's willing to speak up about online, social media bullying, what have you, for law enforcement to do much about it to start with, I guess, right? Somebody's got to speak up, I guess,
Right.
is what I'm getting at, in order for you and your department to be able to engage and help to rectify the situation.
We traditionally have to have a victim. A lot of families don't want their child to be quote unquote a victim, so they contain it, they hide it, out of embarrassment or fear of what happens next. I would say the absolute best thing is go into your local agency and talk to them. Here's my fear, here's what I'm worried is happening. At the end of the day, even if you have an open and shut case of bullying, yes, your child is being bullied, we can easily identify who's doing it and we can make this a criminal case. You as the parent of the victim have the right to say, no, we don't want to do that. So you can't be forced into things you don't want to be. So, and I think sometimes people are worried about that, especially, I think it goes everywhere, but here in our area, multicultural folks together, and they don't understand this culture, they don't understand their culture. It's talk. We don't have all the answers either, but we can find them out. And we are not afraid as a local agency to say, we don't know what we don't know. And we'll reach out at the county level and the state level for help. And there's plenty of partners out there that are willing to help us. So,
Chief, great advice. Thank you. Really appreciate all you and your team do.
certainly, thank you.
Good to see you.
Excellence isn't just a goal, it's a standard. The Great PA Schools GPS designation honors Pennsylvania public schools that go above and beyond, where rigorous academics, strong community ties, financial responsibility, and resilience come together. Today we're highlighting one of our GPS ribbon recipients, Hanover Public School District. Under Superintendent John A. Scola's leadership, Hanover Public School District offers students a comprehensive, future-ready education. Students benefit from strong core academics, personalized learning, and innovative STEM and STEELS-aligned science programs. Grades 2 through 6 participate in Code to the Future, building early computer science skills. The district provides 20 advanced placement courses, 3 PDE-approved CTE programs, and unique credentialing opportunities, including drone pilot license certification. Students also engage in an esports team and F1 in school STEM racing, preparing graduates for college, careers, and family-sustaining jobs. We're looking for the next great Pennsylvania school district. Visit greatpaschools.com to share your success story or apply for the GPS ribbon. You're watching the Keystone Education Report.
We're joined now by an outstanding group of panelists who bring a unique perspective to our conversation on school safety and security. Dr. Angela McMasters is a school psychologist who currently serves the Indiana Area School District, taught at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and was named Pennsylvania School Psychologist of the Year in 2023. Dr. Aaron Skirbin is the Director of Safety and Security for the Allegheny Intermediate Unit and is the IU's first Director of Safety and Security. And Dr. Michael Vukovic is the Superintendent of Windber Area School District and a nationally recognized education leader. Thank you all for joining us today. Let's jump right into it. I want to talk about mental health and school safety. What role, in your opinion, does mental health play in the overall school safety, and how are your schools or schools within your IU addressing it?
Yeah, I think for me, I think the importance about mental health safety is all about being proactive, trying to prevent these issues before they occur. So what does our system look like to really modify and meet the needs of our students? What we see, look into data across the Commonwealth, whether it's our PACE survey or other screeners we have in our schools, that kids are hurting. There's a huge number of students who are facing suicide ideation, thinking about suicide, contemplating suicide, attempting suicide. So I think we have to be proactive and look at that and try to treat it and address it before it becomes even more heightened. So I think that's one thing where I credit a lot of schools for having productive and really large systems of support in place for kids to really meet them where they're at. And each kid's needs are different. And I think it's something that's important to be reflective of where we're at, meet them where they're at, but also be responsive to their needs, because the needs are changing drastically.
Absolutely, and it's really the interrelation of the idea of safety and mental health. Safety and security are two related but different terms. When we talk about security, that typically you could more definitively define security. You could talk about access control, you talk about cameras, you talk about the presence of an SRO or SPO, you talk about all the different policies and procedures that are in place to try and secure the building, right? But when we talk about safety, people often ask, do you feel safe? Or what makes you feel safe? Or why do you feel safe? And that's really where the mental health piece walks into this conversation. It's the relationships, right? Like foundational to everything that we do, anything in education is relationships, and safety and security in particular. That has to be the key component. One of the things that we know helps to reduce violence in schools through research that's out there is that having kids with meaningful, appropriate relationships to at least one adult, regardless of their role, but a meaningful connection to an adult in a school helps to reduce violence and helps to make the school safer. And so fostering programs that do that, fostering appropriate relationships, having supports in place, finding ways to engage kids with safety in such a way that they feel like they're a part of it, as opposed to being something done to them, really is where these two worlds are inextricably connected.
And I would add mental health is health. So we talk so much about physical health. So I talk often with students, and the student body is very interested. So I primarily serve grades 6 to 8. They're very interested in mental health and advocating for supports, resources. So just really letting students know where to turn. I think that's incredibly important, and just letting them know and give them the words. I think sometimes our students might be feeling things and they don't know how to say it. So that comes out as behavior or threatening remarks or aggression towards others. And so once those emotions can kind of die down a little bit, you can have good conversations about really what the root of the problem is. And I feel like students do well if they can. So kind of meeting them where they are, we can always kind of figure out the best way to support their mental health and well-being. But I always say everyone has mental health, so it's not that something's wrong with someone.
Mike, something you said at the beginning, you talked about the students need the help, that there are challenges there. Put yourself in the shoes of a parent that's watching us right now. Talk a little bit about the signs and symptoms that we should be looking for that might indicate that a student is struggling. Are there things out there that people can be watching for to get ahead of it, to be proactive?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. One, social isolation. What are we doing? How are we interacting? Where are we spending our time? Who are we around? We talk a lot at this day and age about the use of cell phone and technology. What does that look like? Is it structured? Is it unstructured time? What sites are they on? Are they with their friends? Are they isolated? What things are they looking at? When we look at school safety, I think Aaron would tell you there's always leakage. There's always something out there. It's always going to be found and solved. But what we want to do is put kids in pro-social environments, and it's little parameters, and we put structures in place. Like one thing for a parent that I do with my kids every night, when they get home, the phone goes down, and we have conversations. What happened at school today? Tell me 3 things that happened in school today. And then it turns into a 30-minute conversation. So, I love your question because, yes, we're working and serving kids. We're also helping giving tools for our families to really address these issues as they face them, because you see a lot of kids who face social isolation, a lot of kids who face anxiety, depression, and the way to get around that, I think, is by building pro-social environments. And I think that's crucial for parents to understand and to really foster at school, but also at home.
And I think parents have to understand, too, that it's okay to ask the school about these things, to talk to the school, not to be afraid to make a phone call. I don't know what to do about this. I'm concerned about this, or even about kids' friends. This is one of the things with the behavioral threat assessment teams that are mandated across the Commonwealth, that, part of the team's responsibility is to make sure that parents and the community are aware of the team and what they do and how they do it, and understanding that this isn't like we're going to pick this kid and follow him because we think something's going to happen. It's having the relationship, understanding this is baseline behavior, and then when we see behavior that deviates from baseline for a period of time, doesn't mean they're going to do something horrible to themselves or the school, but it's something to take note of and be aware of, and bring those interventions into play and have the conversations, like you said, pro-social environments, and making kids aware that these things are present as well. Utilizing tools, to talk, you want the relationships so they go and talk to someone about it or talk to the parents about it, but then making parents and kids aware of things like safe to say something, where if they don't know who to talk to or they don't feel comfortable talking to, that information is relayed so that the school can intervene in a positive way.
And I think to jump on Aaron's point, I learned a long time ago, it's not what you say, but how you say it.
Absolutely.
The way we approach parents, we don't want parents thinking their kids are broken.
Right.
All of us are
100%.
And we want to make sure that parents feel welcome and secure to come and talk to us about these issues, because this is a lot, I think, for any parent.
Right.
Our goals are not to process.
1,000%. And I was just going to add, I find that a lot of parents need help through the process.
Absolutely.
So if their students are struggling, it's kind of like, where do I go next? And sometimes I don't think we realize how much red tape it can feel like there is. Like, you just want to care for your child, but now you're like, okay, what about my insurance? Who do I go to? Right. What is the next best step to make sure my child is safe? And so I think providing that support for families too, so they're not alone in the process, is really important.
And to that point, it comes down to communication.
Absolutely.
Right? It's how you communicate these things. It's the way you communicate it, the manner in which you communicate it. It's having open dialogue. Like, the communication piece is so critically important, because if people don't know that it's out there, don't know that these things are available to them, or don't feel comfortable having that conversation, you're dead in the water. Like, we need to stop having a conversation about school safety and security as this separate thing to education, and recognize that this is part of what we do. Like, this is the job now. This is a part of the job. And we can't silo that and make it a separate thing. It's ingrained in everything that we do.
All right, let me play devil's advocate. People that say, look, a job of the school is really teach my kid, right? Reading, writing, arithmetic, what have you. It's not for all this other stuff. How do you react to that?
Then quit asking us to do the other stuff, because society's been asking us to do the other stuff for the better part of 40 years.
Fair.
Yeah, the one thing we do, we built a parent advisor council. We bring families in. We value the idea of teaching families why we're doing this, not just what we're doing. And that spends a lot of time. And it goes back to Aaron's point about the whole importance of relationships. And it just can't be limited between teacher and staff. It also be between the school district and the community. So we foster a parent advisor council. They come in once a month and we go over our safety drills. We communicate up front exactly what we're doing.
And that's fantastic. Like, letting people know, you're not giving away the keys to the kingdom,
Absolutely.
right? But letting people know what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, being transparent, that fosters trust.
Yep.
And that allows for those conversations to happen, and helps folks recognize that we are doing the reading, writing, arithmetic, but this is also part of our responsibility, because when you're handing your kids off to us, so we have a moral obligation and a legal obligation to keep them safe and secure, and here's the way that we're going to do that. We want you to be a part of that process and conversation.
And I would offer from the school psychologist perspective with learning, it's really hard for students to access learning when they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. And just back to connection and what you had shared, I always say connection culture and relationships, it's the foundation for everything. Students are so perceptive. And when we have conversations, it never ceases to amaze me how intuitive they are about different interactions they have. And so that little bit of positivity, just catching a student in the hallway and saying hi, it's that fine line of you don't want to punish students for feelings that they're having. So you can have all the emotions under the sun, but what do you do with them? So it's like finding that healthy outlet for students. And I really think helping students understand the connection between their bodies, which are changing anyways, and all the development that is typical development, but everyone's kind of blooming at their own pace. So just being aware of all of that, and not, mental health isn't a punishment. Schools and being safe, all of it kind of just is so interwoven. It's difficult to tease apart.
And Angie hit it right on the head. I'll be honest with you. If we went to academic gains, we're really not going to address that until we address the mental health, social, emotional needs of our students first, right? They're not two separate things. They're not isolation, right? So they're together. We have to really think about a system that is reflective.
And I think students want a channel and an avenue. And I realize that my role is different in the schools, but even just being a part of supporting teachers and looking at writing samples, keeping an eye on those kinds of things. So when you're looking for red flags, even for parents, what are students writing about? A lot of students writing about just their basic needs. Like, I want to make sure my family has enough food or money or health insurance. So our students are carrying adult issues.
And this is really where all the required training that the state now has for us really comes into place. That's part of the behaviors of concern element of letting our adult staff know, these are the things that we need to be doing. This is how we can be proactive. These are the things we need to be paying attention to. And I think what gets lost in it sometimes too is supporting our staff.
Aaron, the last word is yours. Thank you. We had 10 minutes flew right by. Great conversation.
I feel like I can talk forever.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a couple more episodes just on this important stuff. Really appreciate you all being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us on the Keystone Education Report. Today's conversation on back-to-school safety reminds us that protecting students takes all of us, from policymakers to educators to community leaders. Stay tuned for future episodes as we continue to explore the challenges and the opportunities shaping public education across Pennsylvania.